In this video, I want to show you exactly why these little devices are such troublemakers. And let's start off with a favorite article of this channel. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. And the reason that article is so important is because it shows that about half of our day is spent mind wandering, distracted from reality. The mental movie is playing, the voice in the head is going. And statistically, what they're able to show is that this act of mind wandering makes us unhappy. It makes us depressed. It takes us further from well-being. Well, Jonathan Haidt came out with a book recently, I think earlier this year, called The Anxious Generation. And what he was able to do is pinpoint the time when we all started using these, not the flip phones where you just make calls, but these where they're connected to the internet and Google, and they allow us to peruse the internet. And it seems fairly harmless, but the moment we started doing this, around 2010 to 2015, you saw a huge decrease in well-being. So anxiety, depression exponentially went up, in particular with younger kids. And so what's behind all that? Well, again, in other videos I've described reality, which we all know we're in reality. If you're listening to this, if you take a walk and let the sun hit your face, or if you take a sip of tea, all these sensory experiences are filled with the joy of reality. And of course, this is what we're getting to when we practice mindfulness and meditation. We're trying to get out of our mind and come back to our senses. And the problem with mind wandering, normal mind wandering, is that the image in our mind, the sound of the voice in the head, they're not very good quality. And I've done the last couple of videos trying to point this out. So if you listen to music and then play it again as a music in the mind's ear, the quality is far less when it's a mental representation, a simulation of reality. So when we're mind wandering, we're actually mind wandering through a very poor simulation of reality, and that has somehow gone unnoticed. That's why I've tried to make it a point in the last couple videos. But the trick with these wonderful new devices is that it connects us to the internet, but it also has one foot in reality, because we're watching the images, we're hearing the sounds. In other words, it has one foot in the reality of sensory experiences, but it also has one foot in mind wandering. And so these algorithms, they're able to predict and feed the ego all of its desires. And so what you find with the invention of this new device is, again, what I would call mind wandering 2.0. It's a new form of mind wandering that has one foot in the real conscious world and another in the desires and whimsical, quote, needs of the ego. And again, all these algorithms are specifically tuned to feeding the ego. And so that's why we find, if a little bit of natural mind wandering makes us unhappy, this mind wandering 2.0 is going to send us into even more advanced problems, more to worry about, more to dread, more anxiety. And it's interesting because very possible in the next 20 years, we'll have something that could resemble the holodeck. So again, some of you are Star Trek fans, and even if you have watched the show, you know the holodeck was a simulation of reality. And of course, it has the advantage of all conscious experiences being simulated. And when this happens, it could be extremely problematic for us humans, because if something like this was invented and it also had the algorithms that catered to the needs of the ego, quote, needs of the ego, because remember, these always escalate, what we would find is that the Enterprise would have never left space dock. People would have went into the holodeck, the door would have shut, and no one would have ever left it.